If you're getting ready to put a Panasonic bathroom fan in and you're thinking about using the installation instructions, I'm going to make it a lot easier for you.
Hey, how's it going? Eric Gans, I'm a home performance contractor in Maryland, and I'm going to show you today how to put in a Panasonic WhisperValue DC exhaust fan. I'm going to show you all of the tools, the things you're going to need so that you don't get frustrated, so you can get the job done right. And I'm also going to show you step by step each of the things you need to look out for, the things you need to do, so that it doesn't take too long, the outcome is good, and you know what to expect.
These are the tools and other items you're going to need to get this job done. As I run through the list and the name of each thing, you may be wondering, what's my experience with this fan? I'm going to tell you that putting the fan in doesn't take much skill. Panasonic, they actually make it pretty easy, but what is important to get right are the small details along the way. If you don't put these fans in often, it could be a little tricky. I've got to get it right each time. I work within the Home Performance with Energy Star program for the local Maryland utilities, and the fans need to be installed properly, which means they're tested after installation for the amount of airflow, and they also need to be properly vented to the outdoors. That way, when you turn the fan on, you can be sure that the new fan works better than your old fan did, and you can maximize your new fan's performance. I think one important part of this video is going to be the unboxing, so to speak. A little bit of what you're going to see is how I like to prep for the installation of the fan. And one nice thing that Panasonic does is they provide you with that cardboard cutout. That way you can trace out the fan size and cut out the ceiling right to the specification of the fan without having to think too much. And this, of course, is the finishing touch that you put on the fan once you've got everything mounted. It's the hood or the cover, and it is spring-loaded, but not like the older springs that were small and could get rusty. These are like very large, and they're actually stainless steel. I like to take the styrofoam out. I like to use the box for any trash and debris that I collect during the process of putting the fan in, swapping out. The first thing you'll notice is the bracket, and you're going to be taking out, I like to take out a total of 4 screws. 2 with the bracket. I've only used the bracket one time. I won't be using it in this video. I don't like to throw it away or not keep it with me when I'm putting the fan in, just in case I need it. It is somewhat versatile, and I have been in a predicament where I've needed it. But for now, I just like to get that taken off and removed. There's another screw that keeps the housing for the electrical attached to the fan itself, the motor. So I like to get that screw. This is screw number 3. I like to get that screw out. Now you got to be careful, because I personally made a mistake the first time I was doing this, and I had forgotten about the clip, the electrical, the wiring that connects the actual power source to the motor. And there's a little clip there that you need to unhook before you separate the 2 components. And I made a mistake one time of forcing the issue and broke something, so I had to get another fan out, and it was a costly mistake. So just be careful with that before you take anything apart. Make sure everything is disconnected. So that's your wiring, your housing for your wiring. That's the motor. 2 separate parts, and the housing for the wiring actually acts as a mounting device. It just gets everything so where you can get it set up nicely, and you just get a good close-up look at the switch on this particular model. You have 3 speeds that you can choose from: 50, 80, and 100 CFM. The 4th screw, and that is for the cover for the electrical, and that's a nice little feature as well. It makes things really easy to install, and I'm going to show you how all this comes together through the process of this video. And that little notch there, that can be taken out later on, or now during your prep. These are the wires. You've got your black, your hot, your white, your neutral, and your green, which is ground. And there you have it. That's pretty much every part of the fan. That little packet there with the blue tape is just a few extra screws. And I just like to get everything back in the box and packed up and up to the bathroom where I'm going to be doing my install.
All right, I'm inside now and I'm ready to take you through this bath fan install. Let's get started. One of the first things that I want to do is I want to get up into the attic, assess where the fan is, and clean out as much insulation as possible. I want to keep my work area nice and neat and tidy. There's some pre-work that does make a big difference when you do it. When it comes to the end, it's just less cleanup, less headaches. And hey, I mean, who doesn't want to work in a nice, clean space with a clean look at everything? Take your time and invest in some knee pads. Okay, so just assessing. Got some wood that's like splintered. It looks like my duct, which terminates at the ridge vent, is screwed in. So I'm gonna go ahead and just loosen this up. While I'm up, I also like to do things efficiently, as least or as few trips as possible. By loosening this up right now, it just saves me like a trip later, because to get this fan out, I'm gonna have to get this disconnected. And what I have found is that like pretty much every fan is connected slightly differently. For example, sometimes there will be a screw underneath, making it even more difficult to get this off, but today there were just two up top. So that's nice and easy. We're not going to be using this, so I'm just going to get it out of the way for now. All right, back to it. I see how my fan is in place just with some nails. I see my electrical, and one thing I do want to check is to see, okay, like what way is the fan going to run? It's going to be running to the back, and the thing about that is that the way the Panasonic is set up is this wiring will need to extend over to the other side. So I do not want to cut this short. Disconnect the wiring once I get this fan out, which is not going to take me long at all. So let's go ahead and get that going actually.
Before I do anything else, I like to get plastic on the floor and on the walls to create a chute for dust and debris to funnel down, so it's much easier to clean later.
All right, so let's get this cover off of this old fan. And these old covers, they usually have this kind of like spring type thing. Usually they are old and rusty, barely holding on. And this is the old cover. We're just gonna get rid of that. And then these older fans, these Braun fans, they have the fan plugged in to, I guess, the electrical box, which is right above there. And I just like to get that unplugged. And I know right now that this guy is going to come out pretty easily from the top. So let's go ahead and get up there and get that done. Back up top. And I'm just going to pry this fan out using my tiny little crowbar. And this should do the trick. Usually the first one is the hardest one. You do want to get all of the nails out. I like to get my plastic down there now, because before I take this out, because you can see there is some debris and dust that falls down into the house. And I'm going to get this last nail out. All right, looking good. Let's see if I can make sure that I give a nice view there for the camera. Now, got my fan out, turned around. You can see my electrical wiring. All right, I'm getting ready to outline where I want my fan to sit. And you can already see how this is a little bit off center. So I'm gonna take the fan a little bit this way. So it's gonna sit in back a little further, and it's also gonna run this way. So let me show you how this works. And it's the outline of the fan. And it's pretty nice because it just makes the job nice and easy, and it allows you to keep things moving. But like I said, what I like to try to do is just find a straight edge. I got two, and I just want to match this fan up to that as best as possible. And these tabs are nice, get it into place, and you just want to double check everything, make sure it's as straight as possible on the edge that you're given. And we just want to extend this out with an outline so we know where to cut. And I try to make it nice and neat, but it doesn't have to be perfect. But you definitely want to make sure you get it right, because I have had a few times where I cut it a little bit too small, and it just takes a little time to get it in place if you don't get it right the first time. Now, I want to show you this. The lip that you see, that's going to be the part that fits right into the drywall. And I'm going to show you how it's going to sit, just like this, with the fan obviously on the attic side. But you got to see how the cover gets positioned, so that when you put the wiring in, that you have it in the right position. Just makes things a little easier. We'll do that in a second. So I just want to get my wiring down and get that all fixed up.
For the wiring, I wanted to give a really good close-up view. Don't forget an important step, and you have to get yourself these non-metallic wire push-in connectors. And that's going to be a big help to you. You want to make sure you put that on in the correct direction first. And then we're going to take that cover and we're going to snap that wire connector into place so that it maintains the wire in a stationary place and just doesn't allow things to move around if ever somebody's up in the attic and kicks a wire or something like that. So now that we've got that all connected up, we're ready to basically wire the power source from the fan to the actual wiring in the house. And I also want to show you very closely how that looks as well. So as we've already talked, we have the three wires. So this is very basic wiring. You've got your black, which is your hot wire. You have your white, which is a neutral. And then you have your green, which is a ground. Typically, the wiring coming from the house is going to have the same colors, the white and the black. And then the bare wire is your ground. Now, you're going to want to have a voltage tester. You might want to test things out. But make sure you also have a good, healthy amount of wire nuts. You want to make sure that you use those to connect these wires up. The first thing I like to do are just get the greens lined up and connected. And then I'm going to move over to the whites and get those matched up and connected. As I do spin the wire nut, I make sure that it gets down nice and tight. And then each time I finish, I like to give it a nice little tug just to make sure that everything is solid. And now lastly, we're going to get the blacks lined up. And you can see that things are tight there, but I've given myself enough room to use my hands freely to be able to get the job done. but not too much wire to where when I go to close this thing, it's going to be giving me a lot of problems because I don't have enough space or the wiring is preventing it from closing. And that is the next step. We just want to get this cover back onto that junction box, that portion of the fan that houses all the wiring, the power source. And it's not too hard to do once you've got everything well organized. And you want to just make sure you get the hole lined up there, the 2 holes, so that you can pop that tiny screw in there and get that sealed and closed up. Looks good. Ready for the next part of the installation. Once you've got all that done, you don't want to miss one critical step. It's really important to fasten the duct to the electrical part of the fan once you have the wiring secured and the box closed and screwed in. There's a very small space between the duct fitting and the drywall once everything's screwed into place, so it gets a little tricky to get the duct connected if you don't do it at this point. The key to getting it done is you want to figure out what's best. Do you want to do it from the inside or the attic space, depending upon what the situation is? But one thing you want to make sure you do is find some method, whether it's a tension tool and zip ties. They also have metal tension where you can screw them in with like little bolts. Either way, you want to make sure that you do get this duct fully secured to the actual fan housing so that once it gets up into the attic, you don't have to mess with it again. Once you have the electrical part of the fan in place, it's time to start securing it. I like to start with using one of the available pre-drilled holes in the frame of the box to do that, and I like to use the flathead screws. Most times you're going to find that the existing fan is mounted to the ceiling joist. To give extra stability to the Panasonic fan, now's the time to install a small brace for the side that doesn't have the joist. You need to have a variety of screw sizes for different situations, like an extra layer of drywall, for example. This part can be a little tricky, so take your time and think it through. The flanges on the fan need to be beneath your joist and the brace so it screws in tightly. Once everything looks good, it's time to position the fan motor into place and line up the screw holes for the 2 parts of the fan to be married back together. I like to plug it up at this point and give it a quick test before I move forward. If everything is working, you can go ahead and start adding a few more screws to mount the fan flush and secure. Beautiful. Time to add the cover and call it a day. So let me know what you think about this video. Was it helpful? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.